Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our board meeting. Let me join in the board docs here. I thought I had. Okay. Can we do roll call, please? Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
If you could all please stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we need to approve the minutes from the January board meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And Dr. Sprout, the superintendent's report, please. Nope, just the minutes. I skipped the approval of the agenda. We're going to go backwards for a moment. Let's approve the agenda for the evening. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Got it. It's been motioned and seconded. This one we can have discussion on. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We've already approved the minutes. You're welcome. Superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you, President Berrigan and governing board members. Tonight we are going to start our superintendent's report with the recognition of two of our schools who are recipients of the Arizona Schools to Watch Award. And for that, I will turn it over to our Chief Communications Officer, Dr. Robert Kaplinger.
President Berrigan, members of the board, Dr. Sprout, I'm honored to stand before you this evening, not only as your Chief Communications Officer, but also as the State Director of the Arizona Schools to Watch program. The Schools to Watch program is an initiative of the National Middle Grades Forum, an alliance of educators, researchers, state associations, and officers of professional organizations dedicated to supporting middle-level education for young adolescents. Arizona joined the Schools to Watch network in 2024 and joined 19 other states that have awarded over 700 Schools to Watch designations over the last 26 years. In our first year, we had 9 schools across the state begin the designation process. This included a study of exemplary indicators in 4 domains: academic excellence, developmental responsiveness, social equity, and organizational structures. The requirements also included a staff survey, a self-study, and a narrative application resulting in a site visit by an evaluation team. I am pleased to announce that we are designating 5 inaugural schools to watch for the state of Arizona, and 2 of these 5 schools are Levine schools. Schools will receive their awards at the National Schools to Watch Conference in Washington, D.C. in June. But tonight I would like to present these schools with a plaque from our school district and a check, a giant, big check, from Mountain America Credit Union, a proud sponsor of the Arizona Schools to Watch program. The first school we will recognize tonight is MC Cash Elementary School. A highlight of their evaluation report reads, MC Cash Elementary School is breaking down barriers and has the full support of their students, staff, families, and community as they set the pathway for success in college and career. They maintain high instructional and learning standards for their staff and students while attending to the social and emotional needs of all members of their school community. They are consistently delivering a high-quality education, setting a trajectory of success for middle school students. Please join me in celebrating MC Cash Elementary, an Arizona School to Watch. Coming forward, Principal Nicole Goodwin and Assistant Principal Rayanne Morgan. Next, we are excited to celebrate Paseo Point Dual Language Academy. A highlight of their evaluation report reads, Paseo Point provides a middle school program that demonstrates exceptional academic achievement, a supportive learning environment, and a well-rounded approach to student development exceeding expectations and serving as a model for other schools. The staff prioritizes a strong academic program, student well-being, and diverse extracurricular opportunities. Please join me in celebrating Paseo Point Dual Language Academy and Arizona School to Watch. Coming forward this evening are Principal Jonathan Roloff, Assistant Principal Patty Gonzalez-Sotelo, Instructional Coach Lisa Bernstein, and teachers Christina Schaffler and Santos Herrera.
Congratulations to Levine Elementary School 8th grader Shadia Mbaju, our 2025 District Spelling Bee champion, and to 6th grade student from Paseo Point, Morgan McClintock, our runner-up. Let's give them a round of applause. If both of you could come up, please, while I read this. We had 12 thrilling rounds, and they competed against 15 other talented spellers from each school and emerged as our winner and our runner-up. We are so proud of all of the participants for their hard work, dedication, and incredible spelling skills. This was truly one of the best spelling bee competitions in the history of the district. So congratulations, Shadia and Morgan. Shadia, we wish you all the best. She will be going tomorrow to the regional spelling bee, and so good luck on that. Congratulations to Brentley Blake, the 2025 I Can Do It Award recipient. Brentley's journey is nothing short of inspiring. At first, he faced challenges that seemed impossible to overcome, but inside, Brentley was full of determination. By early 7th grade, something amazing happened. His ELA and resource teachers, recognizing the depth of his abilities, wondered what more he could do. Together, they connected with the assistive technology team at the Arizona Department of Education and borrowed a smart box with a full keyboard. When Brentley tried the device for the first time, his joy was undeniable. Now Brentley is thriving like never before. He can be called on in class, and when he types and speaks using his smart box, his classmates are right there cheering him on. His smile is infectious, and his grades have soared. It's common to hear the joyful cheer, "All right, Brentley," ringing through his science, social studies, ELA, and math classes. Congratulations on your incredible achievement, Brentley. And we would also like to thank his teacher, Leah Hall, who nominated him as well. But Brentley, if you'd please come up, let's give him a huge round of applause. On Saturday, February 1st, the Levine Lions, that's last Saturday, held their 24th annual Levine Community Parade with the theme of Levine's Got Talent. With over 70 entries and over 3,500 attendees, the parade consisted of schools and our schools and departments, some other schools, but most importantly, our schools and our departments, community groups, local businesses, and elected officials. The Levine School District was very well represented and won the following awards. First place, I believe a repeat, is our Vista del Sur Accelerated Academy Dads Club. Second place, Trailside Point Performing Arts Academy. And third place, Estrella Foothills Global Academy. So let's give those schools a round of applause. We are extremely grateful for all the participants, volunteers, and spectators. And board, I do want to emphasize many Levine staff members helped make this parade a success, and they are part of the Levine Lions Club. They have their day work here, but then they're at the Lions Club in the evening as well. And so we thank them for a hugely successful parade. One of our aspirations as a district is to advocate for our school district and public education in the state of Arizona. On January 29th, I had the opportunity to participate in the Arizona School Administrators Superintendent's Day at the Capitol, where we carried out this aspiration of advocacy with legislators and discussed several key bills that impact our schools. The picture on the right there is me with Minority Leader Oscar de los Santos from our very own District 11, who is an incredible supporter of our district and public education. The Read to the Final Four program is an initiative that encourages third graders to read extensively during the period leading up to the NCAA Final Four basketball tournament, aiming to foster a love of reading through a competitive format with prizes awarded to participating schools and students. Levine Elementary, Paseo Point, and MC Cash will be participating for a chance to win fun prizes and compete to be named the championship school on March 28th. So again, congratulations to Levine Elementary, Paseo Point, and MC Cash. Let's give them a round of applause. The Rogers Ranch STEM Academy's Lego robotics team participated in their first competition. The team, composed of 6 students and 2 coaches, faced a challenge of 15 missions. Their robot began in a launch area and was programmed by the students to complete as many tasks as possible within a 2.5-minute match. Points were awarded based on the mission's success. Teams were judged in the innovation, project, and the robot design. One notable mission, the unexpected encounter, required students to program their robot to push a hydrothermal vent to deliver a squid to the cold sea. So congratulations to Rogers Ranch STEM Academy. Estrella Foothills Global Academy teachers Christine Tolman and Christina Pineda had the honor of attending and walking in the Fiesta Bowl parade over winter break, proudly representing as recipients of the prestigious Fiesta Bowl Charities Wishes for Teachers. Each teacher received a grant for $2,500. Ms. Tolman, a resource teacher at EFGA, bought leveled book sets for her emerging readers, and Ms. Pineda bought vertical whiteboards. She is a 7th grade science teacher at EFGA. So congratulations to them. On Wednesday, January 9th, Desert Meadows NJHS members made a big impact in our community by supporting the district's food distribution event. Working as a team, they packed fresh produce, organized boxes, and created an efficient assembly line. To date, we have served 502 households and have delivered over 26,000 pounds of fruits, vegetables, non-perishables, meats, and breads. Our next 2 distribution dates are February 12th and March 19th. We'd also like to thank our community engagement coordinator, Julie Starkey, who oversees this effort for our district and community. So, nice job, Desert. On January 9th, students from Desert Meadows and Rogers Ranch had an unforgettable experience attending the Phoenix Suns versus Atlanta Hawks game. Desert Meadows sent their math all-stars, that's my club, and Rogers Ranch celebrated students with the most PBIS reward points. It was an exciting time filled with school spirit and Suns pride. Let's go, Suns. Come on, Suns. Let's go. So we'll just leave it at that. But I'm glad that they had an opportunity to attend that wonderful game. Desert, yeah, I think the Suns lost. Desert Meadows and Rogers Ranch STEM Academy students proudly showcased their innovative work, they presented at a comprehensive funding pitch for their drone operations, Lego robotics, and coding projects to enhance their learning. As a result of their pitch, we're thrilled to announce that Vulcan Materials has generously agreed to sponsor a coding camp for 150 students this summer at Rogers Ranch, and this will be for Desert Meadows and Rogers Ranch students. Nice job. Congratulations to our Levine Lions Penny Drive winners, Paseo Point Dual Language Academy. They raised $782. But overall, for our district, we appreciate the incredible efforts of our students and staff. We raised over $3,000 to provide holiday baskets for 52 families in the Levine community. So, Principal John Roloff, if you'd please come up, we have a certificate for you. Should we have the president of the Levine Lions Club come up here, Mr.
Are you the secretary? Elsa, are you the secretary?
The Valley Readers Challenge, in partnership with the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury Foundation, has students in all grades across the district logging their reading minutes for a chance to win a grand prize, an assembly featuring players from the Suns and the Mercury. This special event will recognize the remarkable reading accomplishments of our students and celebrate the school that has logged the most reading minutes. This challenge will conclude on March 7th. Yesterday, each of the schools in our district hosted Mission Kindergarten, an opportunity to register students for next year. Our staff had a blast meeting 322 future Levine students and their parents as we got to share the amazing opportunities that await in kindergarten. From fun activities to helpful tips and resources, our mission was accomplished.
Got it, yeah. Super funny.
I just read it. I don't write. Last week, we hosted the first of 3 Levine teacher job fairs, during which 67 prospective teachers had an opportunity to visit tables hosted by each of our schools. There's some debate here, but according to Mr. Thomas, who oversees human resource, this is the largest turnout of teachers to one of our job fairs in the history of the district. So. What he's really saying is, I used to have that job,
Yeah.
and he has the largest.
Yes.
So,
Competition.
little competition.
I like competition.
Last month, Sun Tech Concrete Company recognized Paseo Point's 5th grade teacher, Brenda Perea, as an outstanding teacher and surprised her with a generous donation of classroom supplies that she had an opportunity to handpick. This recognition comes from one of her students' families who nominated her for this well-deserved award. Congratulations to Ms. Perea. And now our employees of the month. We're going to start with our classified employee of the month, Special Education Instructional Associate at Rogers Ranch, Vanessa Ostos. Ms. Ostos has been a member of the Rogers Ranch family for nearly 10 years, dedicating most of that time to developing an inclusive and supportive learning environment for our special education students. Vanessa takes the lead in collaborating with teachers, staff, and families, fostering a team-oriented approach to problem solving and student support. When working with her students, she ensures her communication is clear, encouraging, and age and developmentally appropriate, empowering her students to feel understood and supported. Thank you, Vanessa, for bringing such a bright and joyful energy to our students and being that warm and welcoming face on campus that every student wants to greet with a hug, a high five, or a smile. Congratulations, Vanessa Ostos. Dr. Vaqueros. Vanessa?
Good evening. I have had a wonderful opportunity to work with Ms. Ostos at 2 different campuses, Paseo Point and Rogers Ranch STEM Academy, and I cannot tell you the joy that she brings the staff and students. Each day, she's committed and a fierce warrior for student success, day in and day out. She always greets you with a smile and a joke, and she makes coming to work enjoyable for everybody, staff and students included. We're incredibly grateful for the work that she does every day. So thank you, Ms. Ostos.
All right, here we go. Ms. Harwell.
Okay.
Our certified employee of the month is PE teacher Tina Harwell from Paseo Point Dual Language Academy. Okay, catch this. When you walk into a gymnasium full of middle school students and inform them that their PE teacher has been selected as a certified employee of the month, and the kids go absolutely wild with screams and applause, you know you have a remarkable teacher. This exemplifies how Ms. Harwell goes above and beyond to ensure the success and growth of her students. She has expanded PE offerings to include electives like gymnastics and weight training, allowing students to explore new interests and develop lifelong fitness habits. Ms. Harwell has also initiated programs such as the Reindeer Run and the Turkey Trot to promote physical wellness and school spirit. Her commitment to student development and holistic education is visible in everything she does. Thank you so much, Ms. Harwell.
Come on over, Coach. We are so happy to have this lady on our campus, as you can tell by all these folks back here. You know, a couple of years ago when we lost Coach Harrison, he did such an amazing job. We knew we had huge shoes to fill, and we were fortunate enough to steal Coach Harwell from another district. In addition to what Dr. Sprout says, she is the most amazing glue on our campus. She really brings everybody together. She works with every team. She does interventions to our fifth graders to help our fifth graders learn ELA and math. And so she additionally helps academic. But what she's done with our sports program, she has weight equipment in for our middle schoolers, so they're lifting those 5-pounders, getting buff and looking at their muscles in the mirror. She has gymnastics programs. She's teaching the kids. We got some mats, and she begged, borrowed, and stole others. And so we, you know, she has gymnastics in the gym, and the kids absolutely love it. So I can't express the amazingness you have brought to our campus, Coach Harwell. Thank you for all you do.
And now it's time for our classroom spotlight, and for that, we are going to feature Cheatham Elementary School tonight, and I will turn it over to Principal Christy Pashley.
All of the guests here. I'm excited to highlight not only our district's newly adopted math curriculum, but also Cheatham's kindergarten and staff. Today we have Miss Arose, Miss Turnbull, Miss Guerrero, and Miss Elizabeth, our up-and-coming student teacher, ready to brave the classroom here really soon, to support our students and show you some of their recent learning in class. I just wanted to take a moment before I invite them up to talk specifically about Eureka Math Squared and the fact that it uses a baseline from research from the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics that have identified 8 high leverage teaching strategies. They are embedded throughout the curriculum, kindergarten to 8th grade. Today, on this next slide I have for you all 8 of those, but you'll notice that nice little arrow there pointed at number 3. Use and connect mathematical representations, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So I'm going to turn it over to Miss Arose to get us started.
Hi, good evening. So what I love about Eureka Math Square is like the opportunity to be working with math and using many manipulatives. So if you see on this next slide, this is just an image of some of the objects that we have been using throughout the year and we will be using up until the end of the year. In the picture you see on the board, we use cubes quite a bit throughout the module. One of the ways that we did use cubes is to compare numbers. Students were able to build numbers with the cubes and be able to compare the cube or the numbers by using terms greater than, less than, or equal to. We kind of pushed them a little bit further and asked them, well, how much greater, how less is your number? So students were able to use sentences like, they would say, my cube stick is greater because I have 2 more. So then when they would go on and say 7 is 2 more than 5. We also had the opportunity to work with place value discs. In this particular picture, they use place value discs to build number stairs to show patterns of 1 more in the forward counting sequence. So they practiced here by saying 1 more counting. So like 1 more, 2, 2, 1 more, 3, 3, 1 more, 4, and so on. We just finished up our module 4 using number bonds, showing the relationship between numbers. This is where the students were able to explore part-total relationships as they composed and decomposed numbers in more than one way. They were introduced to the number bond model. Students recorded their part-total thinking in a number bond, and they used drawings, numbers, or both to complete their number bond. They developed a language to talk about part-total relationships, and they began to use it as a math tool. So now, currently in our new module, they're open to, they have more tools to their math kit. As they recorded their decompositions and analyzed them to answer questions such as, how can the same total be made of different parts? Which numbers can be part of 5, and which numbers can't be part of 5? So some benefits of number bonds is they learn facts, they think flexibly, and they increase mental math. Number bonds provide a visual structure that helps students learn basic facts. They are first introduced to number bonds to model the relationship between parts and total. And then as we move into our new module, Module 5, they relate the relationship the model shows to addition and subtraction situations. Number bonds do prepare students to do quick calculations in their head. The early decomposition and composition work that they are doing increases their ability to do mental math. Right here on this slide, we see that how our number bonds are used throughout the grade level. So in kindergarten, they use number bonds to understand the part-whole relationship, and then they go on to first grade to make 10 to simplify. And then right now, my daughter, who's in 4th grade at Cheatham, she is currently using number bonds with fractions. So she sees me at home, planning, and she's like, oh, we're doing that too. But mine looks much harder. And yeah, I try helping her, and I'm a kinder teacher, not a 4th grade teacher, so I help her the best way I can. But yeah, she does recognize the number bonds, and I see how she's using it and how it actually helps her way of thinking when it comes to those fractions and decomposing those fractions to make one whole. So today we have an activity that our students are going to show you. The activity they're going to do is called Shake Those Discs. This activity provides decomposition practice and reinforces the idea that the same total can be broken into different parts.
I will. All right, great job, Cheatham Cheetahs. Head back to your seat. Great job. Oh, up here, can they come up? Okay. Cheetahs, let's come over and take a picture. Come on.
and then
Oh, we got. As we wrap up with the superintendent's report, I wanted to say first, families of kindergarten students, how exciting it must be for you to see your child growing as fast as they are in this math program. It is truly amazing, and as Ms. Eros said, this will continue through the 9 grades that they're with us. We just keep building and building and building, and what seems impossible today is routine in 2 weeks. And so that's the beauty of this math program. And would like to say thank you for your support, parents, and being here tonight. And we're so excited to be able to partner with you. Ms. Eros, Ms. Turnbull, and Ms. Guerrero, let's give them a round of applause for their work. And our student teacher over there as well. So congratulations to you on being at that point. One more. So thank you, Cheatham. Wonderful celebration of learning tonight. Also would like to say thank you to the families of our employees of the month that are here tonight and friends. And thank you. And we are so thankful that your family member or friend is with us tonight. And staff, thank you also for being here. And all those that are here to support our recipients tonight, thank you. As far as upcoming events, Saturday, February 22nd is the Levine Community Barbecue. We also have our second record-setting teacher job fair coming up on Thursday, February 27th. If you know anyone, send them our way. And then our district open house, which will feature all of our schools for parents, will be on March 4th. And so thank you, President Berrigan, governing board members. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sprout. I'll just echo a little bit of what Dr. Sprout shared and share my appreciation for families sharing your students with us this evening. I think it was very brave of Principal Pashley to select kindergartners. But the bet paid off. That was amazing. Your kids are amazing. And I just see bright futures for every single one of them. And they behaved so well while they waited to come up here. They were quiet and polite. And any little siblings they have around, so quiet, polite, you guys are all doing a great job. So thanks for sharing them with us tonight again. And we're going to take a quick break. You're welcome to stay for the business part of the meeting, but you don't have to, so we'll take a break. Go ahead and get started. Do we know what school is presenting, has Classroom Spotlight first next year yet? Do we know that yet? Okay. Well, whoever you are, principal, I challenge you to bring kindergartners at the beginning of the year.
First month of school.
I think that would be super cute.
The ultimate challenge.
But next, we have a man who's so smart he probably didn't even have to go to kindergarten. Wow. Mr. Charles Martin.
I think he's known as President Martin on Cheatham. Was that where the kids all thought you were president?
Cheatham is now my favorite school to visit. I was asked twice if I was the president, and I left there on cloud nine. Well, good evening, President Berrigan, members of the board, and Superintendent Sprout. Often when we have budgets or financial reports on the board agenda, I mention that this is not data that stops at the district. It goes on to the state. Much of it is forwarded on to the federal government, and then it shows up in other reports and analyses that will pop up from time to time. So tonight, in the last few weeks, a report that uses the financial data that we submit to the state was released. That's the Arizona Auditor General's School District Financial Risk Analysis. And so I want to take a few minutes to talk about this report, the data for our district, and then answer any questions that you might have. So this school district financial risk analysis that the Auditor General produces is ultimately 10 measures that they see of school district financial risk. A few of the measures are tied to external factors or the operating environment. Several of the measures are tied to financial reserves or the resources that a district has set aside for the future. A few measures have to do with year-to-year operations, and then there's a couple that are unique to how school districts in Arizona operate. I'm really happy to share that Levine School District was not considered high risk for any of the 10 measures in the report, but I want to follow that up by saying that none of these individual measures should be viewed in isolation as a sign that a school district is in a bad situation. There's a lot of school districts that were considered high risk for a single measure, but because of work they're doing to offset that measure or other things, it's not a sign that there's imminent financial trouble. There were 2 districts in this analysis that were categorized as highest risk districts for the state, and those are both currently in receivership. What that means is that essentially district leadership and the governing board have ceded financial decision-making authority to a third party appointed by the State Board of Education. If some of this sounds familiar to you, the Auditor General does send an email to governing board members when this report is published each year, so you might have seen something similar to what's on the screen here. It has a lot of the same information that I'll share tonight, links to view this data, and I'd like to, the Auditor General does this to encourage board members to be informed of this information and to ask questions of school district leadership. And so I'd like to walk through the 10 measures for our district, share the data that was part of this report, and then answer any questions that you might have about the results for our district. So I've got one slide for each of the 10 measures that the Arizona Auditor General looks at, and this first one is the change in weighted student count for school districts. The most important factor in determining how much funding a school district gets from year to year is the number of students that are enrolled. So if a district is losing students from year to year, it means that there'll be less funding in one year than there was in the year before. For our district, we're growing. We increased in our weighted student count by 3.1% last year, and we're up 11% over the last 4 years. And so we were not considered to be high risk for this measure. For districts of our size, the Arizona Auditor General considers a year-over-year decline of 2.5% or a decline of 5% or more over 4 years to be potentially a sign of higher financial risk. The next 3 factors that I'll share from the Auditor General's analysis have to do with reserves or resources that a district has set aside for future needs. The first one here is the operating budget reserve, or our reserve in the Maintenance and Operations Fund. Our district has been growing the reserve over the last few years, and so we were not considered to be high risk for this measure either. Districts that were considered to be high risk on this measure would have had reserve decrease by 25% year over year or 50% over a multi-year period. This next measure is very similar to our operating budget reserve, except that this looks at our capital funds and our funds for things like buildings and textbooks and technology. The capital budget reserve is looked at very similar in this Auditor General's analysis. Our district has been putting away funds for future capital projects for a few years now, and so our capital reserve has increased over the last 5 years, as you'll see in the data portion of this slide. And so we were not considered high risk for this measure either. Similar to the maintenance and operations reserve, if a district had a 25% year-over-year decline or a 50% decline over a multi-year period, a district might be tagged as high risk for this measure. I mentioned earlier that no individual metric in this report, even if a district is tagged as high risk, doesn't necessarily mean that there's a larger financial problem. So on the first slide, we looked at change in enrollment. If a district is updating its budget each year for declining enrollment, there might not be any other measures that are affected by that scenario. It's an external factor. On this one as well, I shared that as a district, we've been accumulating capital funds for several years now because we have a few large projects coming up. We just bought the land for school number 10 last month. We also have a new transportation building that'll be built in the next year, year and a half here. And so we will be spending down some of our capital reserve for those large projects. That's what the money's been accumulated for. And so even if in a future year, this single measure showed as something that was flagged for our district, you have to look at it in the big picture and with the context of what's actually happening in the other measures for the district. Finally, the third measure of reserves the Auditor General's report looks at is general fund reserve, which combines a few of the different funds that we maintain as a district. Again, we've been across the board growing reserves, and so we were not considered high risk for this measure of reserves either. The measures in the report shift now to also look at how year-to-year results have been and how revenues have compared to expenditures. So if a school district spends less than it receives in revenue in a given year, reserves will be growing. There'll be more money set aside at the end of the year than there was at the beginning of the year. On the other hand, if a school district is spending more than it brings in revenue in a given year, reserves will be lower at the end of the year, and you can only do that for a limited amount of time. At some point, reserves would be depleted, and a district would be in a worse financial position. Last year, our operating margin, or the difference between revenue and expenditures, was 4.2%, and so we were not considered to be high risk for this measure. Keeping our spending below our revenues is why we weren't considered to be high risk. For this particular measure, districts are considered to be high risk if spending exceeds revenue, and also if the reserves that a district holds are lower than 25% of the average for school districts in the state. So this metric, they look at both annual results and the reserves that are there to absorb the results of the annual results. The change in general fund balance is another measure that reflects what's happened from year to year. Our district has grown general fund balance the last few years, and so we were not considered high risk for this measure. Similar to the other metrics that I shared, districts that have general fund balance decline above a certain threshold might be flagged as high risk for this measure. I mentioned that there's a few measures of financial risk that are kind of unique to the way that Arizona school districts operate. All of the measures on previous slides, the financial reserves that an entity has, how the budget looks from year to year with revenues and expenditures, those are measures that you'd see applied to any analysis of any government or business. But the next few measures are unique to Arizona school districts, and one that the Arizona Auditor General looks at is whether a school district is redirecting capital funding to operations. So funding for Arizona school districts is tied closely to the number of students served, but there's a few different formulas in there. Formula for maintenance and operations, and then something called district additional assistance, which is formula funding for capital purposes. And the idea behind looking at whether or not funding is being redirected from capital to operations is that the Auditor General feels that if you're redirecting capital funds to operations, you might be foregoing building maintenance or postponing investments in technology or other capital needs that at some point you won't be able to put off anymore, and that could cause financial stress. But for our district, you'll see in the data section, for the last 4 years, we've not redirected any funds from capital to operations. and we were, again, not considered high risk for this measure. You might notice back in 2021, the district did redirect a portion of capital funds to operations, and my understanding is that was tied to the opening of EFGA and some needs to get the new school up and running. I'll go very quickly through these last two measures. Small school budget limit adjustment is not something that applies to our district. It's something that applies to much smaller school districts, and this measure looks at whether their ability to increase revenues through that approach is going away because of their size. So this doesn't apply to our district. We were not considered high risk. A frozen tax rate is something that can apply to districts where they're no longer able to increase their primary tax rate, might not be able to get the benefit of all the revenue they otherwise would. This, again, doesn't apply to our district, and so we weren't considered high risk for this measure. The very last measure that the Auditor General looks at is whether or not a district is in receivership. And this one is kind of interesting because receivership is sort of where you might end up if there are financial difficulties and the State Board of Education votes to put someone else in place to make financial decisions. Of course, our district is not in receivership, and we were not considered high risk for this measure. So all of the information that I reviewed on those slides, it's publicly available on the Auditor General's website. The links here in this presentation are the same links that were in that email from the Auditor General a few weeks ago. So you can click on the top one to get an overview of this analysis and the Auditor General's description of what's being accomplished here. The second link will take you to the state results, and you can see for each measure how different school districts were scored. And then the third bullet is the information that just showed up on those slides. Those were all clips from the Auditor General's report, and you can see that data and a little bit more information about why things are scored the way they're scored. So the biggest takeaway, our district was not considered high risk for any of the 10 measures, and we're in good financial shape. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this report or any of the data on those slides.
Any questions? Okay, I don't have any questions, but as you can imagine, I have a few comments. And let me start by saying that presentation was great. I appreciate the time you took to put that together, considering we're not in financial risk. It's important for the community to hear that. But I would say that I would take the report with a grain of salt. It's 10 measures that people who have never worked in a school district or never run a school district chose to put together. And while I think some of them are legitimate measures of what might put a school district in financial risk, some of them are things that are beyond school districts' control. For example, the very first one that they put on there are 47 districts that are in decline in the state of Arizona out of the 210 or 15 of them. And when districts plan for decline, then there's not going to be a financial risk associated with that. Or for the perfect example that you gave with the capital, and some districts intentionally build that up knowing that they're going to need that for a project, and then so for 1 year did that suddenly show up as a financial risk. And the reason it's concerning is because there is some talk about using this report to put school districts into receivership. And so it's sort of the continued downward trajectory that some people are trying to put school districts in. So I would just say that the context matters in this, just like it matters in the classroom spending report and any financial information that we put out to the community. So in a time where it looks nice and there's no financial risk on here, that's great. We don't have to provide a lot of context because people are feeling good about it. But if there is a time where we have a financial risk or something on here, the context of that is always important. So when you're hearing anything in the community, you make sure that they need to understand the context around that. Okay?
Definitely. Yep.
Thank you. Okay. All right, the next item is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion? Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Dr. Sprout, do we have one on there?
An announcement, yes. Thank you, President Berrigan. How many years ago was that, Ms. Alvin?
Almost 8.
Almost 8
Just
years
about 8,
ago.
yeah, for what?
Almost 8 years ago, Governing Board, we had a kindergarten teacher come in to do the classroom spotlight. A very brave kindergarten teacher from from Paseo Point Dual Language Academy. That teacher went on to become an instructional coach and then the assistant principal of Paseo Point Dual Language Academy, and has been there for basically the entire journey of growing this school. As she said to the staff today when we announced her as principal, we went from a single engine to a jumbo jet.
Oh, it is.
And they were building the plane the entire time as they flew it into one of the premier, I think, the best dual language school in Arizona. But this person has been, we value opportunities for advancement, and she exemplifies that. So I'm very proud tonight to introduce to you our new principal for the 25-26 school year at Paseo Point Dual Language Academy, Patty Gonzalez Sotelo. And here with Patty is her sister and her mom. So congratulations to you as well. Thank
Dr.
you.
Sprout, can I say something?
Yeah.
Please? So when my kids were starting school and I was nervous about putting them in school, Paseo Point opened down the street from me, and we put my son at Paseo Point to give it a try before bringing my older son over. And Ms. Gonzalez was my son's kindergarten teacher, our introduction into Paseo Point, and we've been there ever since and loved having that journey with her ever since through all the steps there. So my family's very excited for you. Congratulations.
Okay, moving on. We have the Independent Audit and USFR Compliance Questionnaire for fiscal year '24. You have some exciting reading material ahead of you. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
We
Oh.
need to do a roll
Oh, you're
call.
right. We do have to do roll
you
call on
want a
audit.
presentation from
Oh, do we have a presentation?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Come back up. Okay, come back up. Oh, no.
All right, good evening again, President Berrigan, members of the board, and Dr. Sprout. Tonight on the agenda for approval is the fiscal year 2024 Audit and Compliance Questionnaire. Back in October, we reviewed our annual financial report for fiscal year 2024, which ended on June 30th of last year, the 23-24 school year. Back in October, that data was unaudited, meaning that it hadn't been reviewed by a third-party accountant. And now what's on the agenda tonight is the result of our third-party accountant's review, CWDL, of our books for last year. You'll find in front of you the same documents that are attached to the governing board agenda, our compliance questionnaire and audit in hard copy. No pressure to take those or use them as nighttime reading, but wanted everyone to see sort of the entire package that gets put together for the fiscal year. ARS 15914 requires that the results of financial compliance audits be accepted by roll call vote. And I'd like to highlight that the district once again this year received an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that an auditor will give on financial statements, meaning things are fairly presented, and that we again qualified as a low-risk auditee. Also, the annual comprehensive financial report has been submitted to the Association of School Business Officials International and the Government Finance Officers Association for Excellence in Financial Reporting Awards. These are awards the district has received in the past and that we fully anticipate will receive again for this audit. Since we do have some new governing board members since the last time that we had financial reports on the board agenda, I wanted to highlight a few of the dates that budgets and financial reports were on the board agenda for last school year. This is the last step in the process, approving the results of the independent audit and compliance questionnaire. But financial work for last school year started all the way back in June of 2023. That's when we first proposed a budget for that school year. In July, the budget was adopted. Fast forward to May, just before the end of the school year, May 2024, the budget was revised to reflect what had actually happened during the year. In October, as I mentioned, we had our state annual financial report, which is unaudited financial information. And then tonight, the final results of the third-party audit are on the agenda for approval. Thinking about the current year, we've already completed the first two steps, proposing and adopting a budget back in June and July. In May, we'll revise the budget for the current year, and then looking ahead to next February, we'll have audited results for the year that's going on right now. And thinking about next school year, just a few months from now, we'll be proposing a budget for the 25-26 school year. So a year is only 12 months long, but there are a little bit more than 18 months of budgets and financial reports that show up on the board agenda for a single school year. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the annual comprehensive financial report or compliance questionnaire.
Any questions, comments, discussion? That was a very short presentation for something that takes a very long time and a lot of work from a lot of people on the staff. You know, there are times when you're working in 3 years at once, right? Like when you're closing this out, when you're closing out last year, you're already working in this year and you're starting to plan for next year, and it can get very confusing. So the staff being able to pivot on that, you being able to pivot on that, greatly appreciate your work on this.
Thank you.
Okay. We've already had a motion and a second. This is one instance where school boards are now required to do a roll call vote. It's rare, but we are required to do it. So I vote aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Next, we have the certified specialists, administrative, classified, and guest teacher salary schedules for fiscal year 26. Dr. Sprout, you have some information.
Thank you, President Berrigan. I'm very excited to announce that we will continue our trend, one of our commitments being to provide competitive salaries and benefits to our staff. Today we announced and we are recommending to you a salary schedule. Across all of our salary schedules, a 4% increase over the previous year and 2% steps that employees receive from moving down the salary schedules, resulting in an average 6% increase for our employees over this year's salary schedules. Again, Governing Board, this starts with you and your leadership, and we appreciate it. The announcements were made today. I think it was pretty well received, right? And so thank you, Governing Board.
Thank you. That 6% is amazing. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All of us second.
Yeah, right? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Excellent. Okay, we have our stipend schedule as well for fiscal year 26. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Oh, dear God, you pick. And then a second.
Second.
Okay. So don't pick Mikkel for the motion. It's been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Certified contracts for fiscal year 26. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And then finally, single year administrator contracts for fiscal year 26. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right, comments from the board. We'll start with you, Ms. Bell.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Charlie, for those reports. So thorough and transparent, and that's really important for us to see as a board, but I think also in the community and people working in the school. So thank you to all the work you did and your team and everything. And then I think it's so awesome that we're in a district that values its staff and teachers enough to pay them what they deserve and what they earn. So I think that makes me really proud to send my kids to a place that people want to come to. Look at the job fair, and they want to work here. And I know that it just helps the kids really, which is the main goal, right? Have the best staff and the best teachers we can have, and pay them at what they deserve. So I'm so glad to be serving here with someone with everyone who values education and that. So that's awesome.
Thank you. Mrs. Parra.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome to be able to be a part of a 6% raise for staff and education, and it's such a huge deal, and I know that the staff is going to appreciate that and see that their efforts aren't going unnoticed. And I also appreciated the breakdown of the financial reports. You took something super complex and made it really easy to understand, so thank you.
Ms. Sketsky?
Yeah, I saved all mine for the end.
Okay.
So, same to Charlie, you make a very complicated situation seem very easy to understand, so I certainly appreciate that, just like our peers have said. Retention is so important, so I'm so glad we were able to provide well-deserved salary adjustments, minus the 2 principals that are not coming back.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding.
Minus them.
We know you're moving on to great things, but we are going to miss you. Congratulations, Miss Patty. We're really excited to see what you continue on at Paseo. We've always had such a great experience with Paseo, so all of them, but you're in good hands. Thank you to the events, or to the folks that put together the events calendar, your guys' front desk team. It just helps us kind of be in the know and pop in and see different things that are going on. So celebrations and assemblies and all the fun stuff I love to be involved in if I can poke in. And the spelling bee was great. I love the spelling bee. It was so fun. So thank you for keeping us involved in that, because we're not here to watch. I think we're here just to be involved because I think it's fun. One last thing, I know it's probably been a really rough couple of weeks for everybody. Students, parents, staff have probably all felt a little uneasy one way or the other. So I know most people can probably agree to disagree with a lot of things going on, and I know that you guys are keeping your schools safe, and I just want to say thank you for keeping like staff and students and parents safe. A safe place for everybody to go. I appreciate the communications that have gone out and the proposed, communications that have gone to parents to make them feel like, the community has everybody's back. So, thank you for everybody.
Mrs. Abek?
So a couple of things. I got to go visit all the campuses. I love seeing all that's going on. I love seeing the math curriculum highlighted today. And as they were pointing out, the kindergarten and 4th grade, and I think it was at Rogers Ranch, I saw, it was 8th grade, we went in and saw the same thing where they were doing number bonds, but so that they were learning as they put numbers in parentheses and learned how that worked. And so it was cool just to see that repeated, and that's what I'm hearing from staff as well, just like trusting that and that it's going to keep coming back. And so it's really cool to see that in action and see everyone and their commitment to it. Similar to what you were saying, I know there's a lot going on in education right now and in our schools, and as a governing board member, my biggest priority, of course, is the safety of our students and our staff, and as well as then the education and our legal and responsible administration of the district. And I just so appreciate that every time I look into something or hear about something, whether it's I'm going on your campuses and you're showing me around, or when I contact the executive team with questions or checking in, there's always so much just commitment and integrity across the district everywhere that I look. And I just really appreciate that, because we can see scary things on the news, we can hear scary things, there are scary things going on, or difficult things, and these big challenges and small challenges, you guys are just doing so much to overcome them and do it with such integrity, and I really appreciate that. And I know that our community can trust our school district, and anytime someone asks how it's going being on the school board, I can just say it's great, we have a really great team, our district is doing great things, and I can say that with full confidence. So I really appreciate all that you guys are doing for our students, and I appreciate that our governing board is putting children and education first, and not letting other things disrupt what's going on here. So I'm just really proud to be a part of your guys' team, and thanks for letting me be a part of it, and especially as I come on your campus and get to learn about what you're doing.
Thank you. I think all I want to share is just a deep gratitude for everything you all are doing right now. There seems to be an onslaught of school districts in Arizona facing negative news reports, and sometimes justified, sometimes not, but staying out of the fray is important, and remembering that 99.9% of what's happening in school districts and here every day is students learning, and everyone in that same goal and that same effort moving forward for our kids. So don't let that negativity get to you or to your communities. And just know that we are all very proud of you, very proud to support you however we can, and it is amazing that when we can do something like a 6% increase. I don't suspect that's going to be happening in very many other districts in Arizona right now, so that's wonderful. With that, we have our next board meeting on March 20th, right here, same place, same time. Let's adjourn. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.